So you guys, I just got back from what I believe is my 10th plane ride with my son, Roman. I started traveling with him when he was like, I think 8 months old. And since then I've taken him on about 5 different trips back and forth, which would equal 10 flights. And every time I fly, I always get messages from friends and people on social media who want to know what are some tips for traveling with a baby or a toddler. So in today's story time, I kind of thought I'd just talk about some stuff that I've learned from traveling mostly alone with my son, because I do feel that I've gotten better at it over time. So one of the biggest problems that I have had with traveling with my son has been finding that perfect diaper bag, and not just the right bag, but also the right way to pack it. I discovered on that very first flight that packing with pouches is really challenging because there's not a lot of room for you to get down into your diaper bag when you're sitting in your seat on the plane. And you don't have much room in your lap either, because if you're traveling with an infant in arms ticket, that means you have a child sitting in your lap and you don't have just a lot of space to put things. So what I was finding was that as I was pulling things out of my diaper bag, I ended up with pouches strewn all through my seat, and all the things that were inside those pouches also out in my lap, and trying to get everything back into a pouch and put it away to get another pouch out is just like such a pain. So one thing that I've definitely learned is that, for me at least, the best way to travel with my son when I'm by myself is to pack in a way that does not require pouches. So I've traveled now with a Jujubee BFF, a Lily Jade Megan, and an Itsy Ritsy Boss diaper bag backpack. And all 3 of those I pack without pouches. And I specifically chose those 3 bags because I know that I can pack them well without using pouches on the inside. So this time on this trip that I just got back from, I did take the Itsy Ritsy Boss diaper bag. This one was great for me because it's got all this awesome internal structure. This packs up really well without pouches, and so I was able to just reach down into this bag and get anything that I needed without having to worry about a pouch. So my point number 1 is definitely for sure to pick a diaper bag that you know you can pack well. And if you can, try to pack that bag without pouches, because I promise you it's going to make life easier when you can just reach right into your diaper bag and get what you need instead of having to pull out pouches and open those things up. My next tip is about baby wearing, because this is something that has been kind of a big learning curve for me. I know a lot of people choose to take a stroller through the airport, and that does look super convenient. But I just never really learned how to use a stroller. I was that mom that was always wearing my baby, and so I never really learned how to be functional with a stroller, which means I run over people's heels. I don't know how to open doors when I have a stroller with me. I just am a hot mess. So I have always chosen to wear my baby through the airport, and I've actually found that there are some pretty big advantages that come with baby wearing while you're going through the airport, and particularly in security. I will say that it's important to figure out the right kind of carrier to bring with you. I have almost always, on every single trip that I've taken, used a full buckle carrier like this one. This is my Soul Slings full buckle. It's got, straps on the front, and you can either front carry or back carry with it. And what I do love about the full buckle carriers is that these have no metal on them anywhere unless you have a Lilla baby. And that means that you can go through the scanners without having to remove this. So you can just walk straight on through and you don't have to worry about taking your baby off. So I have really enjoyed wearing these going through the airport. And if you're someone who is most familiar with this style of baby wearing apparatus, then I would say wear this one. You don't want to try a new carrier going through the airport for the first time. But it does have its disadvantages, like being too hot and being hard to get back in your diaper bag. So for this trip that I just took this last weekend, I actually chose to wear a ring sling instead of a full buckle carrier. And I actually really enjoyed wearing this. I found that I was a lot cooler. My toddler was a lot happier because I could wear him on my hip and he could look around and see things a little bit better, so he got less fussy. And because this is so small, it can literally wrap up and go inside of a Be Quick. I was able to really quickly get it inside of my diaper bag and put it away when I wasn't wearing it. But the one thing that I had not thought about before I took this trip was that these metal rings do set off the metal detector. And when that happens, they do require you to take the baby off and put this through the conveyor belt. And you would not believe how horrible it was trying to go through security with my rogue toddler out of his sling. And like, I was able to carry him through the scanner, so at least like he wasn't just standing by himself on the other side of the scanner. But once we got through the scanner, I had to put him down so that I could get the sling, get it back on my shoulder, get all of my luggage and everything. And my child is just running amok in the little security area and giving me a heart attack. So if you're traveling with a travel partner like your spouse or a friend or a parent or anything like that, I actually really do recommend the ring sling, but you want to make sure that you have somebody who is there to hold on to your child when you have to take them off to go through security. The next thing that I have learned is that you can get certain advantages just because you have a child with you, and you really should take advantage of those things because they can be a huge help. If you happen to be traveling with a stroller or with a car seat that you are bringing on the plane with you, then on a lot of airlines you actually already qualify for pre-boarding. So when they start letting people who have wheelchairs or other disabilities get on the plane first, they will usually call anyone who has a child with a stroller or car seat to get on at the same time. Unfortunately, if you're like me and you're just a baby-wearing mom and so you don't have a stroller, you don't necessarily automatically qualify for that. But a lot of times if you walk up to the gate attendant before they start boarding and just explain to them like, hey, listen, I'm traveling, especially if you're traveling by yourself. Listen, I'm traveling by myself. I have a rolling bag and my diaper bag and my child, and it's just a lot to try to manage by myself. Would it be okay if I board the plane during pre-boarding? And a lot of times, especially if there are not a lot of people who are doing pre-boarding, they'll let you do that. And I don't like taking it. It kind of sounds like I'm saying take advantage of the fact that you have a kid, and I don't want to be like that. But there are certain things that are more challenging when you have a child with you, and I think that if you can get the airline to agree with you that that qualifies for getting on the plane early, then you should take it. One of the biggest fears for me was always being one of the last to board the plane, and there's no longer any room for my carry-on luggage, and they end up gate checking it. And the reality is, even things that you gate check sometimes don't make it to the right place. I've had this happen before. And if you have stuff in your carry-on luggage, like you have a pump with you if you're breastfeeding, or medicines that your baby really needs, and your luggage doesn't show up where you're going, that can be a really big problem. So getting on the plane first does mean that you have an opportunity to get your carry-on luggage up in the overhead bins so that you know that it's right there with you and there's no chance of it getting lost. Another tip that I actually did not learn until my most recent flight to Minnesota a few weeks ago is that you can actually rent a car seat through most car rental places, and usually you can check out a crib at the hotel that you're staying at, if you're staying at a hotel. For my first like 3 or 4 flights, I always took my own car seat and my own pack and play with me, and I actually carried those through the airport with my carry-on and my diaper bag and my baby, and it was such a nightmare. It wasn't until about 2 trips ago that I decided to start checking those things at check-in, and I discovered that at least with Delta, you do get to check your baby items for free, which is fantastic. So I could just check those and not have to carry them through the airport with me. But on this last trip, the one that we just took this weekend, we decided to rent that stuff instead of taking it with us, and I just cannot even begin to describe to you what a lifesaver that was. If you're making hotel reservations or car rental reservations, make sure you call them up and ask them if they have that available to you, because you should take advantage of it. The last thing that I've learned, and that I really feel is gonna make some people uncomfortable, but I swear it has been such a lifesaver for me, and that is just communicate with the people on the plane with you and be frank with them. I can't tell you how many times I've gotten on a plane and I've gotten in my seat, and you see the people come, and as soon as they see you and they realize that you're sitting on their row, they visibly, like, they don't even care that you can see them. They just huff and they sigh and they scowl and they give you attitude as they get into the seat, and you're like, listen, dude, I know it sucks. Like, I know it sucks to sit by the baby, but do you have to be so obvious about it? Like, damn. But what I started doing, and I did this on my very first flight, was just being overly communicative with these people about what was going on. So the first time that I traveled with my son, I was sitting next to a man who was obviously not a friendly in that situation. I could see him just tense and angry sitting there beside us. So I turned to him after he'd gotten all settled in, and I just said to him, hey, listen, this is my first time traveling with my son, and I'm by myself, and I don't know what to expect. But I want you to know that I understand and respect the fact that air travel is not cheap. I know that you spent a lot of money on your ticket, and you don't deserve to have a miserable flight because you got stuck sitting next to the baby. So I just want you to know that I am prepared to do whatever I need to do to keep my son happy and comfortable so that we can all enjoy this flight. But he is a baby and he's unpredictable, and I'm just gonna roll with the punches, and I hope you can understand. And every time I've done that, I've seen this person go from someone who's so unhappy to have to be sitting by us to actually becoming an ally. They understand at that point that you are not going to screw them over, you're not going to check out, you are actually understanding of the fact that it kind of sucks for them to be sitting by the baby, and that you're gonna do everything you can. And what I have seen is from that moment onward, they are committed not just to not being angry, they're actually committed to helping me. And I will see them offering to share their tray table with me when the snacks come because I don't have room to lower mine, or offering to get into my diaper bag for me when I can't reach the things that I need. Just speaking with them and being honest with them and letting them know that you're not that inconsiderate parent that we've all seen on an airplane before can make such a big difference. So those are all the tips that I've kind of learned from many trips of traveling with my infant and then with my toddler as he got older. I hope that some of it was helpful to you. I know this isn't like typically the kind of thing I do for story time, but it seemed appropriate since I just finished some airplane travel with him. So I hope you guys have a wonderful week, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.